In local matters, we are following the special election underway in Arizona today, where Democrats are hoping for a major upset. Polls are now open outside of the Phoenix area in the 8th congressional district. Voters are looking to replace Republican Congressman Trent Franks. Now, he resigned back in December after reportedly asking a staffer to carry his child and offering that staffer $5 million. The House seat up for grabs today has been held by Republicans since the early 1980s. For more on today's race now, we want to bring in Ron Hansen. He is in Phoenix, and he's a congressional reporter for the Arizona Republic. Now, we talked about how long this district has been red. In fact, I think Democrats haven't even bothered to run a candidate in the last couple of election cycles because it seemed like it wasn't possible at all. But Ron, now we have this special election, and it's coming in the wake of upsets in Pennsylvania and in Alabama for Republicans. So are Republicans worried, and how hopeful are Democrats?
They are worried. The Republican National Committee and the NRCC and some other groups have poured about $1 million into this race in recent weeks. They're not totally worried, but they don't want this one to slip away. They certainly don't want a rerun of what they saw in Alabama and Pennsylvania. Democrats are somewhat optimistic about at least making a much better showing. They're cagey about whether they can actually win, but clearly this is going to be a much better performance than what they've seen in this part of the state in recent cycles.
Okay, so let's talk about the candidates. Who's running? Tell me about them.
Sure. So on the Republican side, we have Debbie Lesko. She's a former state senator. She spent 9 years in the legislature. She's a big Trump fan and is advocating for his agenda, in particular border and immigration matters, as well as making the Trump tax cuts permanent. On the Democratic side, we have Harold Tiperneni. She's a physician and a cancer research advocate. She's a novice to politics. She talks a lot about universal health care coverage and even gun control.
So tell me about the 8th congressional district. I think, one of the things that we saw with the Pennsylvania race is that though the rest of the country was watching to indicate what the outcome of this race and what it said about national politics, it really seemed to be a local race for the people who were living there. So tell me about the people who live in this district and what sort of race this is turning out to be.
Yeah, so this is an older district in many ways. The average age of the voters so far has been in the retirement age. These are folks who live in retirement communities. It's also the home of Luke Air Force Base, so there's a fairly strong military contingent around here and a lot of working class residents as well. This is a district that is in the suburban West Valley in Phoenix. It's entirely in Maricopa County, and as you've noted, it has a pretty long history of voting Republican in recent decades, really. Democrats, though, have been making inroads all across the state and are really hoping to make a stronger showing tonight.
So then, is this race about President Trump? Is it about national politics? Or are the people in this district really just concerned about their local issues?
Well, I think everyone is trying to nationalize these races, and to some extent, these candidates are talking about the issues that really everyone else has been hearing about. But at the end of the day, it really is about local matters as well. I think Debbie Lesko, the Republican, has been working in this community for 20 years, from the PTA on up to the state Senate. You've got in Harold Tiperneni, a 20-year resident in Arizona, who's really trying to add her voice to the conversation about national affairs. She talks a lot about Paul Ryan. She also talks about Donald Trump, honestly, but it's not the first thing that she talks about.
And so ultimately, what would a Democratic victory mean here for the rest of the year's midterm elections, do you think? You said that Democrats are making some inroads in and around the state beyond this area. So what do you think?
I really think that if Democrats were to somehow win this race tonight, this would arguably be the most stunning upset in the special election cycle that we've seen. When you look at Pennsylvania, they at least had a Democratic registration advantage. They just hadn't voted for a Democrat in a while. In this district, you're talking about a 17 percentage point advantage for Republicans. If they blow this seat, it's going to be all hands on deck for all Republicans all across the country.
Well, we're all going to be watching real close. Ron Hansen, thank you very much.
My pleasure.